Mhm. Okay.
So good morning. For our project objectives and requirements, our objectives include to ensure and maintain proper access, transportation, and user circulation inside and outside the lot, to guarantee that green spaces can still be incorporated into the site, to ensure that the building responds to the local climate and the behaviors of the users in its location, to verify that the site can accommodate the population of the area, to encourage economic development and create new job opportunities for the neighborhood. For our
Mhm.
requirements, it's similar. We made it similar to the like brief in the design project. So it's a five-story office building with a ground floor commercial restaurant. For the commercial restaurant, it can accommodate 100 to 150 guests. It will have two function rooms, toilets, host desk, and bar area, and the standard commercial kitchen with staff locker rooms, managers' room, storages, washing station, food preparation, cooking, beverages, serving station, and garbage disposal. And for the office units, they are open plan offices from the second to the fourth floor.
Good.
So we use quantitative rating scale for our criteria for evaluation of our nominated sites. So our criteria have three categories. We have access, transports, and utilities. It refers to the proximity of available services, condition of road, quality of public transportation, and security around the site and its surrounding. Next is we have the hazard. So it refers to the quality of the site in terms of ground condition, topographic state, and resistance to the possibility of flooding. So lastly is the market area. It refers to the proximity of the site within the desirable structures, fitting towards the lot's area's purpose, and proximity towards the target employees and consumers. The rating is 1 to 5, with 1 as the as poor or unfavorable, and 5 as the excellent or the most favorable.
So to wrap up the site analysis lang, for the site one, it's located in the corner of Ayala Road and Negros Roads. It's around 1,580 square meters. Its advantages is that it's located in Cebu Business Park, which means it's reduced construction costs. There is space for construction equipment, and also according to the Collier's 2021 report, it states that although lease cancellations for office buildings in Metro Cebu have been continuing due to COVID-19, the demand for them is still positive. And it is also near other office spaces with similar businesses so that they can share or like they can have healthy market competition. It is near well-known places such as Sogbo Mercado that can attract potential customers. And since it's an empty lot, it is cheaper to develop than one with existing development. And then another advantage is that it is near residential areas to increase employment opportunities. And for traffic and infrastructure, it is easily accessed through public transportation, and it already has present telecommunication lines, power lines, and a sewage system. For the disadvantages, there is a decreasing population within the area because the population of Barangay Hipodromo has been at a steady decline since 2015, which could lead to less customers and workers in the immediate vicinity. And then for traffic congestion, as well as it has a minor road, become congested as a result of delivery and basement parking access.
Good.
For Saito, it is located in Poblacion Liloan, near Titays, and ang total area is approximately 1,900 square meters. So for its advantages, it is located away from Cebu City, therefore less cheaper construction cost. The target employees and consumers are within 2 kilometer radius of the site since it is located in commercial and residential area. The population of Liloan has been steadily increasing since 1948, and it doesn't show any sign of stopping. So, according to the official municipality of Liloan website, at least 4.28% of the municipality's population is made up of office workers. So, Also, it is easily accessed through walking and public transportation. It rarely experiences power and water shortage. Has already present telecommunication lines, power lines, and sewage system, and Liloan and the poblacion, barangay poblacion, which is the site is located, is well known to be little to no crime neighborhood. So lastly, kanang it is the ground type and the condition are suitable for office building, and the topography requires no assistance for land development. So for its disadvantages, kanang no proper sidewalk and on-street parking area, traffic during rush hour, absence of similar business types near the site, and um mm, and it is near coast what happened? It is near the coastal area, so high risk of flooding.
Okay.
So for Site 3, it is located near Solinea Lazuli Tower 3 and at the back of Asilo de la Milagrosa, with a total area of approximately 1,634.33 square meters. So its advantages is it is located in the Cebu Business Park, where it is near commercial and residential structures, especially in Ayala Center, Cebu, that could attract customers. It would lessen construction costs and increase in employment. So for traffic and infrastructure, um, the telecommunications and power lines are within the business park area, and also the public transportations are also accessible. For the disadvantages, the vegetation is that the site is surrounded by trees, so it may lead to cutting it down, and its population is decreasing as the same as in Site 1, since it is located in Hippodromo, which has a steady decline of since 2015, and will lead to fewer workers and customers around the area. And the traffic and infrastructures that tall structures are being surrounded to the neighboring area, and site is away from the main road. So next
Hmm.
slide, please.
Sige, sige. Ate Niero, okay, I see your post. I'll update the attendance later. Okay, go ahead.
Next slide. For the site evaluation, Site 1, we rated access, transport, and utilities as 5, since the site is being located in CBP. That makes it ideal for transportation, access, and utilities that are already present in the site. For hazards, we rate it as 5, since the site has little to no risk for floods, landslides, and storm surges. And for market area, it was also 5, since the site has an abundance of residential areas and that other office buildings are within a 2 kilometers radius. So for site 2, that would be totaled with 15 as the rating for Site 1. For Site 2, we rate the access, transport, and utilities as 5, since it is also located in CBP and makes it ideal for transportation, access, and utilities. For hazards, we rate this as 2, since it is near the coastal area, making it prone to flooding. And for the market area, we rate it as 3, since it is located within the residential and commercial area, but it is from the same business type, very far from the business type.
Hmm.
So we totaled it as 10. For Site 3, we rate the access, transport, and utilities as 3, since the site is also located in CBP but is away from the main road, which makes it difficult for transportation to access easily, and other tall office buildings around the area may cover the development. So for hazards, we rate it as 5, since the site is also has little to no risk for flooding, landslides, and storm surges. And for market area, we rate it as 5, since the site is also near residential areas and within a 2 kilometer of office buildings. So the total is to 13.
Okay, good. So,
So,
klaro na. Yep.
so
Go.
thus we chose Site 1 as our selected site, since transportation won't have problems accessing the site. Less existing vegetation is found on the site, so less trees will be cut down. Telecommunication and power lines are also found in the area, and since the area is shared with similar businesses, it gives opportunities for a healthy market competition. So meeting the slowly increasing demand of office buildings in Metro Cebu after the pandemic, as
Hmm.
Colliers in 2021. So there are also low crime rate, therefore it is safe for walking and for transportation. So that is all for our presentation, sir. Thank
Okay,
you.
very good. Before you close, everything is there. Good job. And I just want to go back to the slide with the with the site analysis. I know the one before that day, the rating. Okay, so could you explain kanang what is the difference between fair and poor and excellent and very good? How do you like make that distinction?
Um, hello, madungog ra ko. Okay.
Yeah, Madogra.
Um,
Zoom in lang sa criteria. What makes a criteria excellent versus kanang very good? What's the
so,
defining?
so
Hmm.
excellent means the utility support exceed the standard quality offered by the government and has high resistance to disturbances. Access to
Hmm.
site is safe and best suitable for walking and transportation. While
Hmm.
ang very good is the utility support meets the standard quality offered by the government and rarely experiences power and water shortage. Access to site is safe and suitable for walking and transportation. So
Okay.
um, next is fair and poor. So fair is the utility support meets the standard quality offered um, by the government and experiences power and water shortage very often. Access to site is fairly safe and suitable for walking. Is suitable for walking more than transportation. So for poor is the utility support does not meet the standard quality offered by the government and access to site is not safe and not suitable for both walking and transportation. That's all, sir.
Sige. So poor siya if below standard.
Yes,
Fair
sir.
siya if fair still meets the standard. So pero kuan siya not as
As
uh
yes,
balilisod siya. Poor
yes,
ang
sir.
worst kay does not meet standard.
Yes, sir.
And then sa excellent is above standard. And then sa very good is kanang just meets the quality pero it's any rarely experiences power and
Water shortage.
water shortage. Ah, okay. So based on kanang experience lang,
Yes.
how did you guys define kanang government standard? Okay ra, you can just say kanang what do you think of kanang government standard? Na-mute ka, Abigail, or wala audio?
Um ay sir.
Hmm.
Gi-base na mo sa kuan sa LGU, sir.
Hmm?
Sa unsay provided sa LGU.
Okay, like gyud sa inyo pag gitanaw nyo sa map or based on experience ninyo na naani nindot ang connection na nin area.
Ako kay sa site 2 man ko sir no kanang ang
Hmm.
Liloan ang municipality of Liloan kay nag-provide nito sila og mga hazard map. Na sila land development plan sir. Adto ron ako gibase.
Ah, okay. So nasa yung mga documents mo na
Yes
imong
sir.
kanang standard. Okay.
Yes sir.
So how about sa uban? Did you guys talk na how did you reach kaning standard? Do you have other documents but? Hello?
From experience, sir.
Okay ra. Okay ra good. So as long as you have like some kind of basis na this works, this doesn't work, even experience will do. Kay kung ano man to na, kaning simple or bitaw na design or like a site selection process. What will make it like thesis level if you have kanang supporting documents. So nindo tong NOAA, nindo to ang Google Maps, you can actually see the site. You have like your own like experience, so that is good. I just wanted to make sure na naamoy distinction. And then what do you call this? Cunning hazards. So the one thing, the issue with like the 5 point method is you have to like explain each point. So sa hazards, number 5 is above or like above average condition, kanang walay problema. Number 4 is suits private but requires little to no assistance. So how do you distinguish kuan 4 and 5 sa hazards? Kanang when
Sir,
will
kanang
yeah.
um ang excel ang very good sir kay it requires kanang na siya need siya og assistant maski minor assistance to meet land development requirements sir ba, while ang
Mm.
excellent kay it doesn't require kanang perfect and suitable ang iyahang topography, ang iyahang ang so dili no need na og assistance for the land development requirements sir.
Okay, so unsa mga assistance are you kanang talking about here? Kanang mo change mo count or unsa man?
Yes sir, like need siya na i-flatten siya or unsa man na sir.
Good. Okay, good,
Okay.
exactly. So how about sa fair and sa poor?
Ang fair sir is acceptable ang iyahang fair ang iyang ground condition pero na siya mga need siya og excavation sir, like need siya og major assistance sa kuan for land development, while ang poor
Mm,
is ang poor ground condition ang iyang topography kay dili gid siya
unbuildable.
oh yes
Mm,
sir.
okay. Sige. And then finally sa market area?
We base it sa sir sa kataymuhan 2 kilometer radius. Sa
Mm,
ang 5 na mo sir, ang excellent na mo sir kay ang employees, ang similar business types and consumers are within 2 kilometer radius from the site. While ang
mm.
good sir kay it's 2 kilometer away from the site, and ang fair sir kay 5 kilometer away from the site, and ang poor kay it's 6 at least 6 kilometer away from the site sir.
Okay, good. Sige. So, just want to highlight to the class. So, whenever you make a criteria, there has to be kanang reasoning behind it. So, I think they explained it very well. And yeah, that's all my questions. Good presentation. I think there's nothing wrong with this. We'll kanang clean it. I think the only minor problems are kanang mga font siguro, and maybe the visual is not so kanang pwede pa mahanay bitaw. The text is a bit small, so maybe we'll like edit like the fonts here. If you go to your next slide, yeah, some of the text here is a bit hard to read na, but like maybe we can simplify it further, like bullet points lang, and then you explain it. Okay, so next slide, Dimo. Next slide. And Annie, this looks better, a shorter definition, so you have the rating systems. And then next slide. Okay, inyo man pod ikuan. Then you explain again kanang what is going on here. So maybe more bullet points, less words will make your presentation kanang flow better. And then sa final to na presentation, which is kano sa to? Ako i-check sa modules. When you present again, you'll be presenting the same thing. We're really kanang practicing this. You'll present again sa ano sa to? December 8th. Yeah, next Thursday. Kanang hopefully ang akong comment is try not to read so much. Muna ang suggestion you do when you do a presentation, you don't have so many words on the PowerPoint. Okay, you end up reading the words on the PowerPoint. So more kanang engaging in your presentation. But for the most part, all the information is there. It's just how it's delivered. That will be something we need to improve on for next week. But very good. Everyone in this group gets a kanang. What's a perfect score for this? Okay, maybe not perfect. 28. 28 by 30 is the perfect score. Yeah. Yeah, 28. Okay. Kung ano siya, no? Group 1, Arcila, Fernandez, and Martinez. Group 4, sorry.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll just write it down here sa Excel. O paano na-reflect sa akong Canvas kay busy kayo. I'll try to get it all in today, especially katong last week's activity. Okay. So I asked kaning Barbas, Leonor, and Mancao. Are you guys ready?
Yes, sir.
And then after Barbas, Leonor, and Mancao, do we have Evangelio, Tan, and Villaflor?
Noted,
Evangelio,
sir.
Nana mo tolo?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Sige, let me also update the attendance here. Kisa to ni chime in. I'll check the messages. And see, Ateniero is here. Okay. Let me double check. As katong wala ni sound of view. Prepare lang sa ang next group. Kasi double check attendance. Let's see. So Ateniero is here, present. What about Evangelio, present? Handog is here.
Yes,
Present.
sir.
Okay. Leonor Nicolas. I think that's Leonor messaging.
Present, sir. Present, sir.
Okay. Evangelio is also present. Okay. Remedio, Ivar. Wala pa si Remedio. Salino, Gail. Wala pa. Tagima Cruz.
Present, sir.
This is Tagima Cruz or Remedio?
Sir. Salino.
Okay. Gail. Salino. Here we go. Okay, got it. Tan Vance.
Present, sir.
Okay. Tan Audrey. Wala. Tan Mark.
Yes, sir.
Present,
Natara.
sir.
No, sir.
Okay, Tan Mark also present. Sige. And then Villaflor. Lord Lewis. Okay, wala pa.
Sir, si Villaflor kay na ano ilang internet
Okay,
naputol,
no answer.
sir.
Okay. Just want to make sure. That's why I'll be having the lecture at the end so that everyone can hear it. Okay. So the next group presenting is Barbas, Leonor, Mancao. Share your screen when you're ready. There seems to be like noise and Nicole.
Ay, sorry, sir. Basin ang aircon ako, sir. Alternate off lang, sir.
No, okay, okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, I just like wanted to make sure it's fun, what it was. Go ahead.
Okay, so I will start. For the project objectives, we have the for the real estate. Basically, we would have the site to be preferably located within a dominantly commercial area, with access to a handful of residences. So that basically like the presence of like commercial developments would make it better for in terms of market competition. And for residences would be better or in terms for like employment, since the place you would be living in would be close to where you work, and then the site must also be suitable for a 5-story office building with a commercial restaurant. Then in terms of proximity, it should be located within or near the central business district for better market competition. And it would be located, as I said earlier, near a handful of residences for better employment. Basically the same reasons with the real estate. And then in addition to that, there should also be located nearby various services such as schools, recreational facilities, fire stations, and hospitals. Basically, it's like to be in close proximity with areas that may be beneficial to like the way of living, like quality of life. And then for the last objective, we also included like the design, in terms of like design flexibility. So like the site must be flexible in terms of like design with only a few limitations on any other design. So it's basically like the site shouldn't be too difficult to like deal with in terms of like building the actual design of the building or making the design process. And that the site must also be environmentally friendly, so that like when you start the construction work on this site, it wouldn't be like too damaging to the surrounding environment. So, yes, and then for the next slide, it will be about the site criteria, which will be explained by Nicholas. So like, go ahead, Nick.
So for our site selection criteria, we have physical and socio-economic. So under physical, we have accessibility to transport services and utilities. So the utilities would be water supplies, switch lines, power lines, and telecommunications. So how we did a 3-point system. So it's basically just simple. So if there's access to transport services and utilities, so we have 3 points for that. And if it's lacking one or two, it would be 2 points. And if there's really no access to both to the three of them, it would be 1 point. So for the
Mhm.
hazards, we have flooding, landslide, and storm surge. So for the 3 points, it would be areas with little to no hazards. And if there's 1 to 2 hazards, it would be 2 points. And with the areas that have three or more hazards, it would be 1 point. And then for
Excellent. Excellent. So this is what I was hoping for now. The point system is a much clearer. Go ahead.
okay, sir. And then for market area, it means that if customers, employees, and managers are within a 2 to 3 kilometer radius. So for the 3 points, it would mean that market radius is less than 2 kilometers, and then for the 2 points, market radius would be 2 to 3 kilometers, and if it's more than 3 kilometers, meaning it's like really far na, it's 1 point for that. So the next slide will be our site, the three sites.
Mhm.
Okay, so for the site analysis, I'll be discussing Site A. So, in terms of the access to transport services and utilities, since this is located like along a major road, so that's as defined Archbishop Reyes Avenue, so it's accessible to both private and public modes of transportation, and it's also like nearby different services like schools, recreational facilities, commercial establishments, fire stations, health and safety, and other hotels. And this is also accessible to other utilities because there's an existing development on the site, and is located in an urban setting. So most likely there's access to like well-maintained utilities like as mentioned previously by Nicolas. And then there's also like a road along the site. So there's already um, a guarantee that there's easy access for storm drainage and sewage system. Then for the hazards, according to NOAA Studio, the site is not hazardous to flooding, landslides, and storm surge, and it is categorized under little to none hazard level from the 5 to 100-year return period. And then for the market area, so based on the 2020 census, Barangay Lahog has a growing population with a growth rate of 3.7%. This and with this, like there's also like residential developments like near the area within the 2 to 3 km radius, such as Grand Residence Hotel, LaGuardia Flats, Paradise Village, Beverly Hills, and Beverly Glen subdivision. And then Nicholas will discuss the second site.
And then, so for the site two, it can be seen that it's located in Peace Valley, Capitol Hills, Barangay Lahog, Cebu City. So, looking at it, it's a corner. I mean, it's a kanang corner lot within the intersection of Friendship Street and Justice Street. So it would mean that there are road right of ways already. So there would be easier access to water supply, switch power, and telecommunication lines. And then it can also be seen that it's deep within the subdivision. So it would mean that transportation for public vehicles such as buses, jeepneys would be difficult, although it would be accessible to private vehicles and taxis. And then it can also be seen around the site. There's already like existing services such as water refilling stations, convenience stores, carinderias, and restaurants, which should be beneficial for the workers of the office. And also for the hazards, according to NOAA Studio, the site is not at risk to flooding, landslides, and storm surges since there is little to none from the 5 to 100-year return period. So that would give 3 points. And then for the market area, the population in Barangay Lahog as of 2020 is at 45,853, and its trend is increasing with a positive growth rate of 3.70%. And then the site is also surrounded by residential zones and plenty of houses, condominiums, and apartment buildings. Therefore, the market to support the building, there is enough market to support the building. So the office building, if it's located there, would really thrive. So that would give 3 points. And then
Mhm.
for site C, Gavin will present.
Yes. So for site C, the access to transportation services and utilities are pretty good because it is basically an interior lot that is located within the CBD, which gives it close proximity to several commercial developments and services. And it is also um, it also uses a main intersection that allows it for accessibility between private and public vehicles, and it also has and also this also means that with its direct access to a road, it also means that it would have access to proper drainage and sewage system, since main roads usually have that as well. Then in terms of hazards, according to Noah Studio, the site itself is it pretty much has like no major hazards within its area. However, the main road that it uses does have a 100-year return period of flood, like a high chance of flooding. So I wouldn't be able to get the perfect 3 points. So it gets two instead. And then for the market area, although the population of Barangay Luz is what do you call this having like a decreasing growth rate, and it's also relatively low, it is also like it's actually most likely caused by the fact that Barangay Luz is a mostly commercial development and not
Mhm.
really much residential areas to live in. And as this barangay continues to develop more and more into a more business sided area, the residential spaces are also decreasing. And then yeah, it is also like very near Ayala Center Cebu, Cebu IT Park, and One Naito Tower. And even though like the residences are decreasing, it is still like with it. There are still residences that are within the market area or the market radius, like the Guardia Flats, Grand Residences Cebu, and Paradise Village. So it gets a 3 points as well. So
Mhm.
yes.
So for the next part, I'll be discussing the tabulation of the points. So for accessibility, transport, and utility, Site A gets 3 points, as well as Site C, while Site B gets 2 points. For hazards, Site A gets 3 points, as well as Site B, and 2 points for Site C. For the market area, Site A, B, and C gets 3 points. So Site A has a total of 9 points. Site B and C has a total of 8 points. So
Mhm.
for a selected site, based on the table shown above, so Site A is the site chosen for this development. It is situated within the CBD, first of all, and it is dominantly in a commercial area. So the lot size is also fitting for the 5-story office development, and its location within the CBD also means close proximity to nearby business developments for better market competition, as well as good proximity to nearby services for better quality of life and nearby residences for better employment. It's also accessible to different utilities, transportation, and services due to it being due to the use of an urban major road. And then in terms of design, although the exterior design may be limited in terms of the narrow facade um, because of its limited frontage. Its rectangular shape still allows an easy to develop space in terms of designing and maximizing the interior design and arrangement of the building. And the site is relatively flat because of the existing development. And it also means lower cost in excavation, which also decreases carbon footprint. It also allows for recycling of currently existing materials during demolition to further decrease the carbon footprint. With proper implementations of tropical design, the site also remains environmentally friendly, with which is also in line with the objectives of the site. That's all, sir.
Okay, hang on before we close. So there's an existing structure on the chosen site. So you're saying that i redevelop ni siya?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's just say pwede. But usually sa thesis, it's like you need to show proof na the owner is willing to redevelop. Okay, let's go back to beginning. Okay, I like that the objects are clearly stated here. It's the same sort of, if you go down, next slide. It's also applied to the kanang criteria somewhat. A bit kuan. The best would have been if the objectives match the criteria or connected to the criteria. Hey, our criteria is, I forgot to mention this the first group. Our criteria is accessibility, hazards, and market area. So some objectives should be connecting like to improving accessibility, mitigating hazards, and making use of the market area. So this is something that we'll probably need to, probably for all groups, if dili mo align ang objectives and the criteria. But that's not really a major thing. It's more for like the thesis. Next. And then site selection, site analysis. Yeah, similar to the previous group, there's like so much text. So try to minimize the text, like bullet points, and maybe one sentence lang in the description. Okay, what ends up happening is you read your what you wrote, and it becomes very monotonous sounding, and it doesn't feel like it makes a report less engaging. Next. So this is good. I wish na makombine ni siya to the first slide so you can see how the points, because you already wrote the points there. And then what do you call this next? And siya okay na ni. So again, this is like 3 paragraphs here. Maybe you can summarize it to bullet points and show the potential of the site with like images or like icons or whatever. There's like whatever is more convenient for you. So for this group, still pretty good with minor issues. I'll give here 28 for all of you. And then we'll apply the changes siguro by next week. Okay. I also have some notes here for like everyone, but I'll present it after everyone else presents. Okay, so next group, Evangelio, Tan, and Villaflor, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then after that group, also to everyone, I think we'll need to have group names so it's easier easier to call out the groups. Let me see. After Koan, Evangelio, Tan, and Villaflor, let's see. So Garay, Gidukos, and Ratificar, are you here?
Present, sir.
Okay, so where's my highlight? Let's see. Did anyone else join in just now? Or do you have any new attendees? Wala ra? If your friends come in late, please like message them to like come in so we can have our like general discussion after all the presentations. Sige, so presenting now is Evangelio, Tan, and Villaflor, followed by Garay, Gidukos, and Ratificar. Sige, go ahead. You can start when you're ready.
Makita ra, sir.
Yep, makita ra.
Okay, sir. Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Christine Evangelio reporting, and here's how we selected our best site. So,
Christine, di siya full screen?
dili, sir.
Okay. Can you kuan lang hide? You see that on your screen, stop sharing and hide? Press
Yes,
the
sir.
hide button. Okay.
Okay,
Sige.
sir. So for our main objective, it is to select a land that's within 1,000 to 2,000 square meters, which is highly accessible to all user types, abled and disabled, away from hazards but close to every amenity, which makes up a good community, and then develop it into a 5-story office with a commercial restaurant. So we actually have a different approach of presenting how we selected our best site.
Okay.
But for Site A, it's located in JP Rizal, Makati, with a total area of 1,201.44 square meters, with the following advantages. So for commuting, it can be accessed by both private and public transportations since it's near railway stations, and private and public vehicles like jeepney can also pass through the major road. and it can be accessed by more than one road. And then for places of interest, it has or it's near key amenities like convenience stores, shopping malls, restaurants, and banks. Also, fire stations, hospitals, and barangay halls are near its parameters. Now, for the weaknesses, it has heavy traffics, uh, which equates to noise and air pollutions, especially during peak hours. Now, for the hazards, it has little to none for all flood, landslide, and storm hazard levels. And then for the population, it has a growing population with a rate of 1.65% as denoted by the 2020 census. Type B.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Audrey, and I'll be presenting from Site B to the rest of the presentation. So the Site B, the second location is located in Iloilo Business Park with an area of 1,800 square meters. And below is like a screenshot of like perspective views of the land. And the hazards, mostly the hazards in this area is low or little to none, while the population of of this area has an increasing growth rate of 3.54%. And I'll just mention a few strengths and weaknesses. So strength, it's located at the business park, which has also murag increase siya sa market, and there is also residential areas located less than 2 kilometer radius from the office, and pedestrian and walkways are well developed. So weakness, there's a lack of vegetation around in the site, which results to uncomfortable heat temperature, and the entire business park is not yet fully developed. So next slide. For Site C, it's located at the Cebu Park District with an area of 1,190.50 square meters. And for the hazards, it's the same as the other two sites, which is little to none. And the population growth rate is has an increasing rate of 0.93%. While the strength emphasizes safe and convenient access to walkways and roadways, and the weaknesses has a possible heavy traffic during peak hours, especially it's a highly developed area in sa Ayala area. And on the very right side is also a perspective view of the lot area. Okay, next slide. As for the criteria, on the very top, we have the rating scale of 5 is unacceptable, 10 by poor, 15 fair, 20 good, and 25 excellent. So 5 is usually rated as kanang below na siya sa standards of what we based on like the total area, if it's below 1,000 or 2,000 and etc. So for site A, it has a total for the land area, it has a total of 83%. For the accessibility, it reached 100% and hazard as 95%. For site B, it reached 95% for land, 100% for accessibility, and 90% for hazard. For site C, it has 85% for land, 95 for accessibility, and hazards as 100. And as you can see on the very right, for us among the total amount, site B has the highest percentage, which is 95%. So therefore, the best site chosen is site B.
Okay.
That's all.
Again, so I think before we close, I think the biggest issue here is that you have a 5-point rating scale, but you have total of 25 points. So it's a bit gone. What was the reasoning behind that? Why is it 5, 10, 15, 20, 25?
I think also because we wanted to do a percentage set for the total. So yeah, as clear siya. If it reaches like 25 or like since like we have four criterias in each, And then we wanted it to reach 100 points per ano
Okay.
siya,
Total of
in total
100
para
objective.
100% siya.
Okay, because you're dividing it by
Mm-mm.
four. Okay, now okay.
Yes, sir.
Quarters, yeah. Orang
Mm-mm.
issue ani is like, how do you define the difference between uh 25 and 20, and then 5 to 10? So what makes something 10 points versus 5 points, or 25 versus 20?
Yes, sir. So for the land kay 25 if it meets or exceeds the minimum, like for example so number 1 kay 25 if it meets or exceeds the minimum area required,
Mm-hmm.
and then 20 if are relatively small but can still be a good site, 15 if small siya, and then 10 if considerably small but might compromise the objective, and then 5 if no potential at all.
Okay, okay. So you have so if it's within 1,000 to 2,000 square meters, it's 25.
Yes, sir. If sulod jud siya sa
Hmm.
required
So
area.
if it's less than if it's 500 square meters, how many points will it be?
5.
5 na, inaccessible,
Yes,
500 square
like no
meters.
potential at all na
Okay.
jud siya.
What if 700 square meters? Asa man siya?
Mga 20, sir, kay considerably small but might compromise the objective.
Okay, so 500 is 5, 700 is 20.
I mean, ano, sir?
Hmm.
10.
Then, okay, okay. So, bitaw. So, iklaro la sa, I think you'll need a slide on how you do the rating, because I think this is the most important thing. How do you divide bitaw? How do you grade each site? Let's see, 5 slides, you know? So you have
Yes, sir.
one slide for each side. So go up, down. Okay. Previous slide, please. Yeah. A bit more, like, let's see, one more. So we have page 1 is your title page, or is that the objectives page?
Yes, objective, sir.
Okay, objective. So siguro for the final, we'll need to condense the site analysis part and give another page to how you break down the point system. Okay,
Yes,
during
sir.
the thesis presentation, not really the thesis presentation, site selection is done pre-thesis during your chapters 1 to 3. When you present your first part of your book, site selection is done there. And then these are where your panelists will ask, okay, how did you break down the grading system? So they're trying to check how you decide which one gets the points without. So this is what we're trying to practice here. So ideally it eliminates kanang bias, and you're being kanang very rational about your decision making. So kana alam.
Okay, sir.
Presentation wise, it looks very good. Pero yeah, I wish na ito slide about how you broke down the points. So that's something we'll work on towards next week. Everything else is fine. So I will give you 25. And then think of kanang, saan siya? Think of a group name.
Okay, sir. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
So again, 25. It's still good. We'll just need to, I really want to focus on the how do you grade? How do you get that grading? Okay. Next group here, Garay Giducos Ratificar. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Higit ang masud sa 1 hour na estimate na ko da. Also, next time when we present sa December 9, all the groups should be presenting in 5-minute time limit, ha? I'm not counting the time limit right now, okay? We didn't get a chance to check man good last Tuesday. Okay. So, mahurot yun time, ani. Hopefully, makasud pa og 30 minutes discussion by 12. After group Garay Giducos Ratificar group, after that we'll have the Ponce de Leon, Handog, and Salino group. Are you here?
Yes, we're here, sir.
Okay. Barbas, question.
Yes, sir. Can I just clarify? Are we allowed to like resubmit before the deadline?
I
Like,
know there'll be a new submission box.
also like if it's like after this, there'll be a new submission box to submit again, or
No, no. I mean, are you scanning the face?
yeah, for this phase specifically.
Ah, yeah, you can resubmit later
Ah,
tonight.
okay. Yes, okay. Thank
Bro,
you,
the
sir.
grade is already this one. G,
Mag-present na, sir.
present lang. So what do you call this? You can add some minor changes here and there. Pero what do you call this? I won't be kanang regrading you or kanang. I think since already grading you now, yeah, murag, if you want to resubmit, you can, bro. Maybe it will impact your grade, bro. I don't know. I don't wanna like give you extra work, but that will probably just kanang um make major changes by next week. If you want to make minor changes by tonight, okay. Whether it will impact your grade or not is depending on how how big the change is. Let's see. Okay. Who is presenting? This is. I don't see your name on your screen.
Ako, Sir Reggie, sir.
Okay, Reggie. Okay. Sige, go
Okay,
ahead.
okay, so good morning, everyone. So here is the presentation for phase 2 site selection. And the project requirements that we have is basically the same. We use the same as the design problem that we had, and only difference is we specify that it should be appropriate based on the physical, contextual, social factors of the site. And the aims and objectives that we have is that it has to have access to highway, major or and minor roads. And the demographics of the area should be at least within the workforce age of 15 to 64. And the hazard threat should be low in terms of flooding, landslide, and flash floods. The site should also be in close proximity to other commercial and residential areas.
So for our site selection criteria, we have considered a few factors. We have a site factor, which the lot size should at least be 1,500 square meters and maximum of 2,000 square meters. And then there should be access to service utilities such as energy, water, waste treatment, and should have access to residential and commercial zones. For contextual factors, we have access, it should have an access for transportation, access to minor, major, and highway roads. For the market and service area, it should have access to commercial structures, convenience stores, and like local supermarkets. And for the hazard, there should be little to no flooding threat in the actual site, no risk for landslide, and lesser risk for flash floods. So we do have a 5-point system. So here we have for 5 points, our site should have a direct access to transportation, utility services, commercial and residential zones with little to no occurrence of storm surges, earthquakes, and flooding. 4 points, it should have direct access to transportation service, utilities, and commercial residential zones, but it does have a minor site issues. 3 points, it should have enough access to transportation, service, utilities, commercial, residential zones, but have major site issues. 2 points, it does not have any direct access to transportation, utility services, commercial and residential zones, and it can have also a site issue. And 1 point, it does not have any access at all for transportation, utility services, commercial and residential zones with a higher, and it also have a higher occurrence of storm surges, earthquakes, and flooding.
So we're gonna discuss on the site analysis. So for the lot 1, it is located in Putatan, Muntinlupa, which has a lot size of 1,958.89 square meters with a population data of 99,725, which is increasing in population. The advantages of the site is that it has access to multiple minor roads and a major highway. It has a close proximity to bus stops, jeepney stops, and the demographics of the site mostly occupied by the workforce age group 20 to 24, and it is relatively close to supermarket, malls, etc. in a 2 kilometer radius. And the disadvantage of this site is it is not directly visible to the highway compared to the sites used by other office buildings. Traffic is relatively slow, red traffic at peak hours, which is at 4 to 7 p.m. on one lane of highway all throughout the week. Also, the rear access of the site is too narrow and needs to be expanded and not located at a closer proximity to other office buildings. And one of the minor road is cramped and is used as a parking area.
Mhm.
So for the second lot, it is located in Mandawi, Cebu, and it has an approximately the lot size is approximately 1,500 square meters, and for the population data, it is also an increasing with a in 2020 it's 300,000, and for the advantages, the site is adjacent to the main road, and it is also located in a commercial zone, which has a lot of restaurants, popular and notable branded buildings. And it is also in the vicinity of popular city landmarks, which is the Cart Zone, the Sykes Building, and there are also a cluster of trees that can be integrated into the site. And it is also mostly occupied by the 20 to 24 age group, which is the workforce, and it is also in relatively flat land and a high density residential area and commercial area. For the disadvantages, it has limited access to PUV aside from bus. However, there's a bus stop in the area, and the commercial development pressure can also be a consequence for high competition.
For the third lot, it is located in Barangay Hagobiao in Mandawi City. So it has a lot size of 1,322 square meters, and the population data is 12,138 for their total population in that specific
Kuya ko
barangay.
lagi ng number lagi.
That's the answer. And then for the advantages, the site is adjacent to the main road, which is the national highway. So there is a close access to jeepneys and buses. It is also right by Consolacion, which is, I believe, a residential area as well. It has within the vicinity has supermarkets and convenience stores. So for the disadvantages is that it is at the very end of the city of Mandaue, so it's a bit further. And another one is there is not much office buildings around the area, and the national highway can get congested during rush hours.
Mhm.
So here is the point system. This is where we graded our site. So for site A, access to transport and utilities, 4 points because the area is close to the highway, has 3 minor roads. Hazards, 4 points. Low occurrence of flooding, landslides, storm surges, and earthquakes. In market area, 5 points, which is close to commercial establishment and dense residential zones with a total of 13 points.
The followed site is its access is and transport and utilities has only 3 points, which is the area does not have enough access to PUV and PUJ, but it has a bus stop, but the bus comes once in a while. And for the hazards, it's only 4 points because the low occurrence of flooding and storm surge and earthquake. However, it is also close proximity to gas station, which is a potential hazard. And for the market area, it's 5 points because it's in close proximity to commercial zones, building, and residential zones in a total score of 12 points.
Mhm.
For the third site, for access, transport, and utilities, it's given 3 points. The site is pretty far, although it is right by a highway and it has access to jeepneys and other things. It's a bit far, and it's like a little secluded. It's not really developed yet. For the hazards, it's given 5 points because it has little to no occurrence of flooding, storm surges, and earthquakes. Market area, 4 points. It do have access to supermarkets, convenience store, and residential zones, but not necessarily right by it. You need to walk a little bit farther for access to these stores.
Mhm.
So the site that was selected was the first lot, which is located at Putatan, Muntinlupa, and it is in a commercial zone, which is identified as commercial 2. It also has the majority of uh, demographics are in the workforce, which is from here 15 to 64. And the lot is also in close proximity to other commercial commercial
Zones.
commercial zones. Yes, thank
Mm.
you, sir. Also, the lot as a low threat to hazard has low level of flooding, little to none landslide hazard, and storm surges also has little to none. That's it, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so can I review your slides again? Go back to the beginning. Okay, go down, down. Okay, so this is a little bit better. There's less text, more images. I think ang confusion na there is like maybe some errors, mga typos with population data. Let's see here. I noticed this in the other group as well, because some of you are using the whole city and some of you are using kanang depending on where the location. I think some others presentations had barangay numbers. Just make sure na it's a final. We'll be doing both the city or municipality numbers and the barangay where they are. If we have data to the barangay, if you're familiar with that area, you should know the barangay. But if not, gani, maybe we'll just stick to the city because like nindo siya makita bitaw like if this area is actually increasing or like has a growing population. So we'll discuss that further after everyone. So for this group, looks good. So let's see here. Point system is also clear. I can give you 28, no problem. 28 to everyone. Okay. Next, so the coming groups are already 11:30. We have to go faster, huh? So I'll just probably I have no choice. I have to start timing you now. So let's see, timer. I'll just use my phone. So next group is asan na siya? Group 8 on my list. Ponce de Leon, Handog, and Salino. Are you ready? Please share your screen. And then I'll start the timer when you start presenting. Hopefully we can go through everyone and have like a bit of discussion after. Stopwatch. Sige, go.
Okay, good morning, everyone. So today I'm going to present our site selection process. So the main objective of our project is to create a proposed five-story office building for a big developer to be built near a business area with a minimum lot area of 1,000 square meters, and it could be built anywhere in the Philippines. So for our sub-objectives, um, uh, it must ensure that the location have a proper access and transportation. Also to ensure that the site is not a hazard-prone area and that the site must be located near various services such as schools, recreational facilities, hospitals, and more. And also to ensure that the building will respond to the local climate and the behaviors of the users, and to create new job opportunities for the neighborhood. So these are the factors that we want to consider for a site selection. For the factors, we would consider the size and cost, the access and utilities, like it should be near CBD, should have good access of electricity, water supply, and telecommunications. Um, the physical constraint, it must be a office building with the height of 5 stories. And the land use regulation, it must be under commercial zoning. And for the contextual factors, um, we would consider the mode of transportation, um, the population and the population growth of the area, as well as the market trend of the area. And it must also like abide the local laws and regulations, and it must be near the facilities and establishments. And the site must be located in a hazard-free area.
Mhm.
And this is the site analysis of each site. So we have three sites from different cities in the Philippines. We have one from Quezon City, one from Cebu, and one from Surigao City. So all of the law area are between 1,200 square meters to 2,300 square meters. And all of them are located near commercial buildings and facilities. So for the first site, the population is 23,569 with a growth rate of 0.73%. It is located on an empty corner lot in a new business district with a positive market trend. It also have a good pedestrian pathways, and the site is not sloping with existing vegetation that can be used in designing. Um, but this site is quite high end, and it is still a new business. It is still it is located in a new business district, which means that the surrounding area have many empty lots.
You guys have 2 minutes, so kuan lang, wrap up lang.
Uh, I don't know. Okay, so for the second lot, it is also located in an empty corner lot with positive market trend, with good accessibility for the transportations and pedestrian access. And the next one is also um, located in an empty lot with a positive market trend. It is also have good accessibility for both vehicles and pedestrians. And for the evaluation, we're not done yet, but this is what our criteria is. Like we have
Okay.
gradation.
Okay, no, you're not done yet. Now you can just finish it like later tonight. So no, yes, yes. No. So will you be applying points?
Yes, sir.
Sige, so apply lang points. You can figure out which one is the best. Okay. Let's see. So with this kind of setup, I'll give next slide. Apa mo yung slides lagi? Okay, sige. So with this setup, since you're not yet done, yeah. So mag-regrade lang ko later, maybe next week. So I remember like one student, si Kinsato, asked about the resubmit. So resubmit lang later tonight. And then we'll check up again for the final grade of this maybe next week, Tuesday. And then again for kuan. Submit mo sa 9, and then I'll grade the 9 December 9, not December 9, December 8. Submit mo sa December 8, present and submit sa December 8. So that sa 8 we won't be on. The deadline will be class time. So no more resubmission sa December 8. Tonight you can still complete this, and then nananaala to buhatan. Okay. Kristen, yes.
Sir, sir. Jessica, i-share good balik ang presentation. Nakoy ask, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jessica. Sa page 3. Na sir ba? It's too wordy lang, sir. We have to make it shorter lang. Because detailed.
Yeah, daghan ka siya points here. Let's see. So you have vicinity, population, location, accessibility, geography, natural features. Okay. I think it's good, but I think it's the formatting that makes it hard to read. It's going left, right, and then it's like white on gray.
Placement.
And I think so. Yeah, vicinity no. So maybe instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points, you can simplify that into like 2 points. Population of area 2 points, location 2 points, accessibility has 1 point, etc. Ano na lang. I think much better if you have location area, then strengths. So maybe 5 points as strengths and then 5 points as weaknesses.
Okay, sir.
Para mas simple siya tanawin kayo mag-task kayo ba?
Okay, sir. Thank
Okay,
you.
good. So I won't give you a grade yet. I'll give you a grade kind of later this evening. Next group will be asa to? Aluben, Aviola, and De La Cruz.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and the group after them will be Alojado, Go, and Pantanosas. Sige. Okay, type here. Let's just go do a quick rundown. You have 5 minutes.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. Our project objective is to provide more employment opportunities, especially for the people living within the site's area, to identify a site that is accessible for both pedestrians and vehicles. For our project requirements is to identify a site that ranges from 1,000 to 2,000 square meters, identify a site that is low risk in hazards, and to identify a site that requires a low cost for construction.
For our site selection criteria, we used a three-class rating scale. In access, transport, and utilities, 1 point is given to those with direct access to private and public transportation, including transit or bus stops, and is located next to a road right-of-way. 0 points is given to those with access to private and public transportation as well as transit or bus stops nearby and located next to a road right-of-way. And meanwhile, -1 point is given to those with no direct access to either private and public transportation, transit, or bus stops, and not directly next to a road right of way. For hazards, we give 1 point to those with zero risk to both all flooding, landslide, and storm surge, 0 points to those with moderate risk to either flooding, landslide, and storm surge, and -1 for those with high risk to all three feature aspects. For market area, we give 1 point for less than 1 kilometer away from residential areas with population trends of surrounding barangays increasing. 0 points to those with 1 kilometer to 2 kilometer away from residential areas with a population trend of one barangay only, just increasing. Meanwhile, -1 point is given to those with decreasing barangay populations. Next slide, please. So our first site is located in Cebu Business Park with a total lot area of 1,495.86 square meters. For access and transport and utilities, it can be accessed directly through private and public transportation, specifically taxis lang. And then the other public transportations like jeepneys and buses are accessible not directly but nearby, like approximately 150 meters to 260 meters from the site. It has direct access to a road right of way with existing development in the area, so therefore there's already existing utilities for the site. For hazards, there is little to no risk for flooding, landslides, and storm surge. For market area, it is surrounded by plenty of residential areas, specifically Barangay Hipodromo and Barangay Mabolo. However, Barangay Hipodromo has a negative growth rate of -0.25%, and Barangay Mabolo also has a negative growth rate of -0.38%. Another factor is that it is located within a central business district.
So for our second site, it is located within IT Park, and for its access, transport, and utilities, it is located directly next to a road right of way, which in turn makes it accessible to the important utilities, and it is also located nearby a transit station, approximately 120 meters away, and it also has a bus stop right in front of the site. So it is not susceptible to hazards, to any of the hazards. And for the market area, it has a lot of residential areas located less than 2 kilometers away from the site. And for its population trend, Lahog has an increasing population trend, whereas Apas has a decreasing population trend.
So for the third site, we have in Paseo Asenas, Banawa. It's located near a modern jeepney and jeepney stop, and it has the vehicular access is more favorable than pedestrian access, and access to utilities is a challenge because it's not located near a road right of way, and the hazard is low risk. Then for market area, the many residential areas are located within the 3 kilometer radius, and it is surrounded by two barangays, Barangay Labangon and Guadalupe. The Guadalupe is increasing, and unfortunately, Labangon is decreasing.
So for the grading of each site, based on our criteria, we determined that the best site to be used would be site B with a total score of 2 points. Next slide. So here we have our selected site.
Okay, good. Sige. So I like the idea of like putting minus. Okay, everyone's just adding, adding, adding. The minus has like impact na if it's not suitable, you deduct points. I like that idea. It might like be useful like moving forward with us in thesis. Anyway, I don't have much time to critique as well. Will you be doing for me? Okay, Nanisia. It looks very complete. With this current setup, I'm willing to give. Okay, you really explained the criteria. I'm willing to. Let's hear it. For me, it's at 28 for all of you. But if you want to make changes, you can make changes. The things I would change. Oh, close na. Could you share your screen, Balik? Let's see. Go back. Back. Actually, I don't think I would change anything. Okay, thank you for that. Just like maybe ang wording lang and like some of the text to be like a bit shorter lang. Okay, next group to present. Sorry, I don't know how to mirror my screen. I'll just put the timer here na lang so you know how long the 5 minutes is. Alojado, Go, and Pantanosas. Are you here?
Present.
Sige.
Yes, sir.
And after that will be Arcila, Fernandez, and Martinez. Are you here?
Done na, sir.
Oh, ba? Naman na yun, no? Oh, yeah. I did check that. I did forgot. Okay. Forgot to mark on my end. Evangelio, Tan, and Villaflor. Are you done?
Yes,
yeah, you're
sir.
done. Yep, I have the score here. Next is Monte Claro, Remedio, and Seno.
Here, sir.
Okay, let's see. Okay, now tayo one group with that word complete. Ni percent mo wala. O pa no? Okay. Yes, Andre.
Sir, when kami mag-report?
Kamo? Let's see. Yeah, it's kanang just going down the list. Let's see. After Monte Claro, Remedio, Sena, we have Rabenito, Tan, and you, Xavier, Tan, and Chu, How, Villamor, and Tan. Let's see. I think Atenero and Villa Cruz is already gone. Wait, what did I mark this red?
Group 7.
Nalimutan ko. Yeah, Group 7 already presented. Di-present na sa parni mo. This is wait. Taguma Cruz. You're with Atenero and Villa Cruces, di ba? Sorry, nalipat na ko.
Yes, sir. I think wala po may ka-present.
Wala pa mo? Okay. Sige. So let me just go down the list here. Probably you're near the end na. Ako ra mag-follow ang order before na ako lang i-reverse. Okay. So after Alojado, it's Kuan. The Alojado group, it's the Monte Claro, Remedio, and Seno group. I think this is why we need kanang group names for Mas Paspas. Then after Monte Claro, Remedio, Seno, we have Benito Tan Yu. And then after that, it's Xavier Tan Chu. Then after that, it's How William Moore Tan. Then after that, it's Atenero, Tagima Cruz, and Villa Cruces. Okay? Sige. Go ahead, Justin. Your timer starts when you start presenting.
So, good morning, sir. We are here to present our proposed commercial building with the restaurant site selection and evaluation. So, our site requirements is pretty straightforward. The lot size is at least 1,000 square meters to 2,000 square meters. It's easy to access by different modes of transportation and for pedestrians as well. It should be at least within the vicinity of different establishments that can benefit the building. Few to no hazards present to provide safety and security to the population, and it has enough space to follow the standards of the National Building Code, Fire Code, and other requirements.
So for our site selection criteria, sir, for our criteria weighting, site conditions, it is how the site fares in topography, vegetation, access to natural light, and ventilation. Next is the access and transportation. How accessible the site is through different kinds of vehicular access and pedestrian. For the absence of hazards, it is how safe the site from possibilities of different hazards like flooding, storm surge, landslide, and other natural disasters. For the market area, it is how the population, competition, and ongoing development of the area may support the growth of an commercial building. So for utilities and services, it is how accessible the water and other services in the proposed site. So for the site conditions, the weight of the site conditions is 2.0, access and transportation is 1.0, absence of hazards is 3.0, which is the priority. Market area is 2.5, and utilities and services is 1.5. So for the point system, we used a 3-point system, one being the poor, two as fair, and three as good. So here are the information about how they are graded.
Mhm.
So for a scoring equation, we multiply weight and the criteria grade. So for example, site condition is its weight is 2.0. The criteria is 2. So 2 times 2 is equal to 4. So for each criteria, we add all them and then total it, and then we
Mhm.
total it for each site.
Okay, good.
Next, please.
Okay, for the next is the sites. So here presented on this page are the site necessary to create the strengths and weaknesses. So since we don't have time, we will be skipping this and head to the summary. So for the
Mhm.
strengths and weaknesses of Site A, it is a corner lot intersection between Mandaue and Realty Road. It is fronting a central highway, which means it has access to transportation. It is just a few meters away from the port of Cebu, as well, and also a transportation hub is present nearby. Minimal to moderate noise pollution. Some errands in the area can be accomplished by foot. Oh no. Can be accessed by any mode of transportation, private vehicles, construction vehicles, and pedestrian. So its weakness is it is very susceptible towards flood, but at the same time the frequency is very low. However, it is still surrounded by areas with high flood frequency. Traffic may be substantial at peak hours, more and more competition in the near future, and little to none established parks nearby. So considering all that, it received a score of 27. So for Site B, which is in Cebu Business Park, for the strengths, it is within distance of commercial establishments, services, and residential spaces. Easily accessible to pedestrian and modes of transportation, little to no flooding in the area. Population in Cebu continues to increase, where 52% of the population is of the working age. Forecast of office market is overall trending upwards as demand continues to rise after the pandemic. For the weakness, despite its surrounding greeneries, there are little to no developed parks nearby. A large tree can be found on the easternmost side of the lot, which may take up a lot of space if preserved or be a complicated process should it be decided to remove. At present, extreme competition is expected in the area as supply is still more than demand and vacancy is still up by more than 20%. As the market slowly recovers post-pandemic, more and more office spaces are expected to be built, thus only slightly easing competition even after some time has passed. So considering all this, the score it received is 28.5. Next is another lot in the Cebu Business Park area. For the strength is it is a walking distance to different establishments. It has ease of access for pedestrian and vehicular traffic. Flooding is not an issue at all. Market trends are increasing steadily according to JLL and uh, I forgot Colliers within the area of residence and housing developments. For its weakness, no greeneries have been developed to accommodate pedestrian traffic. While there may be adequate space for building parking lots, on road parking could be an issue to cause traffic during peak hours.
Just in time na. Okay.
Sige, so the selected site is site B.
Okay. So just a quick note here, it seems na nindot kay sayang kay daghang kay mong data, especially katong slide that we had to skip. Ato ang goal here maybe is sa final, but sa final i-summarize na to siya para di masayang effort. Especially go back to the slide with a lot of data that we skip. Kani, so you see what's here? The hazard, and I think that's real estate, no?
Dali sir, ang sa ng bottom left is kanang susceptibility map according to DOST. So meaning kung sa ka-affected ang site if mubaha man. So
okay.
How fast the water recedes or of how long the flood stays.
Sige. Maybe sa final, I'll just increase it to 10 minutes. Okay, daghan nito din na data here. So that's the next slide. So ang issue ani sa online is we're presenting one online. We need to make it kanang legible bitaw. So the font size is a bit too small. So maybe kanang reduce ng the text here. Like really kanang the key bullet points. And then when you have your score here sa bottom, kana mo increase ng font para mabasa. On my end, it's not kanang too small ang text size. Okay, everything looks good. I'll review it again later tonight. But like my tentative score for this group is kanang 28. Also, it's on recordings. I'll just watch my recording again to check my score.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Next group, Monte Claro, Remedio, and Seno. Are you ready? Okay, 12 na. Monte Claro, Remedio, and Seno. There we go.
So good morning, everyone. Today we'll be presenting our site selection process. So for our project objectives, it is to select a site suitable to develop a 5-story office building with a commercial restaurant. So for our project requirements, land size must be within 1,000 to 2,000 square meters. It must be accessible to the target market, and site must be in the Philippines.
So next we have the site selection criteria. So these are the following criteria we consider in selecting which is the best site. So we have this quantitative rating scale, which basically rates the site from 0 to 4 based on these criteria. The first is accessibility. So this talks about the road networks and sidewalks, vehicular and pedestrian circulation, then hazards, and market area. For the market area, this determines whether the structure can withstand economically and practicability of site selection, whether it is located near a residential area. And next is land use regulations, whether the site can be suitable for the said development of an office building, or is it allowed to build there. So next is.
So for our site analysis, to summarize, we have identified different factors within the use of with the use of different diagrams, such as like hazard maps, which most of our sites have little to none hazards. the population growth of Cebu. Uh, it's increasing, and most of our sites are located. And for one of it is soil maps. So most of our sites are located in soft or unconsolidated sediments. So this might also serve as a weakness. We also have windrows diagrams to check if there are any buildings that obstruct the path wind flows, and also sandpaths. So next is our okay, next slide. So next is our point grading of each site. So for the first is our site in IT Park. So site one. We gave this site a 3 since the site has no direct UJ stop uh in its from the site, and also it has no access. I mean, it has no space. Sorry, for equipment and utilities during the construction phase, or like it has limited space. And then for the hazards, we gave it a 4 since the hazards made little to none flood hazard susceptibility. Then for the market area, the location supports the growth of an office building, and customer and clients, business owners, employees are also within a 2 kilometer radius because one, the vicinity has residential units such as condominiums, and there are also nearby residential units. And for the we gave the land use regulation a 4 because it is located in a business district, which is ideal for a business and commercial establishment.
So for the second site, I gave this a 2 for the access, transport, and utilities since this is the only road which leads towards this site is a minor road, and there are no PUVs and public transports as well that goes in the area, and also there is no sidewalk. Then for the hazards, I gave this a 3 because Tipolo is known as a flood-prone area, although there are no hazards, life-threatening hazards in the site. The flood is to be considered. For the market area, I gave this a 2 since this is not really located in the business district, but it can be also a good thing since there are no competitions and it is located in a very near residential areas, which opens up a lot of job opportunities for the people. Then land use regulation, I gave this a 4 since there are no restrictions for the site, which makes it available for either commercial or residential structures. So a total score of 11 for the second site.
So for site 3, I gave the access, transport, and utilities 3 since it is located in a CBD. So available area. And for hazards, little to no hazard for flood, landslide, and storm surge. So it is scored 4. For market area, still 4 since the population in the area is increasing and it has the like potential customers, employees, managers, and company owners are at least within a 1 kilometer radius. And for land use regulation, it is scored 4 since it is located in a CBD, which is appropriate for business and commercial establishments, with a total score of 15.
Good.
So for the selected site, we chose the IT Park in Cebu. So this is perspectives and the total area. Yes, sir.
Sige, time. So interesting thing here, 2 of them got 15. So how did you choose site A?
Regarding the hazards, sir, for site 3, ano na siya nearby nga like area that is low to medium risk for flooding. Unlike for site 1, there is like none dyan.
Okay. So it only need change ang hazards from 4 to 3 sa final.
Yeah, okay. Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Sige. Good. Sorry, I have to like tentative score for this group also 28. Basta any group that explains how their criteria works, already like immediately 28 tentative score. Okay. Let's see. Next group to present is, sorry, I forgot to copy that. Benito Tan Yu.
Yes, sir.
And then after Benito Tan Yu, it's Xavier Tan Chu. I'll just put it here on the list. And I'll start your timer now.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Today, my group will present our site selection process. So first of all is the project objective. So we determine the objective of our site and eventually the office building. So basically, we want to create a master plan for a five-story office building that provides different rentable units on the upper floors and a ground floor that houses a restaurant and commercial units as well. So we want it to be accommodating and diversified different clients, like different tenants such as contact center, BPO, or software companies. And also, it should eventually be a commercial hub of that area, while being able to provide different job opportunities to the local tenants. And it should also serve as a landmark to the from nearby buildings. So this is basically our criteria. We use this the quantitative class with three classes of description. So we have like we uh, we separate it into physical factors and social economic factors such as the access, transportation, and utilities. So we assess that the plus one should be the one that's most easy to access with good transportation, and you have those power supply and water supply. And for hazard, the plus one should be like a hazard-free area that will not cause trouble to the tenants and the users. And for the social economic factors like the market area, so the site should, if to in order to get a plus one rating, it should be in a really strategic location such that it's near a central business district, or it's like near residential areas, so it's easy for the users and the customers. And next is our site analysis. So we use different tools such as the population graph, and we also use hazard maps, and we also use like external tools such as the city maps from different city like such as Talisay City, Cebu City, and Mandawi City. So we study those, and we have it here implied in different strength and weaknesses. So let's say so if there's hazard indicated, we have it in our weaknesses, and we also try to describe what that hazard could eventually bring to the site development, and also strengths such as the population data, like how it will determine the progress of the future and the longevity of the development. And also next we have the site ratings.
So for the site ratings, we base it on our criteria. So for site A, it is located in AS Fortuna Street, a very prime location. So it is located between the border of two cities. It has multiple PUV routes, and however, the downside to this is the POV stops are not really proper. Nonetheless, we still rate it a plus one. And for the hazards, due to data we research in the Project NOAA website, it is still susceptible to flooding. However, it is not. It doesn't put the people at risk of any danger. It is just it just provides a minor inconvenience. And then for the market area, it is one of the most flourishing streets in the town with many commercial establishments, and it is in close proximity to highly dense urban residential zones. So we gave it a plus one rating. And for site B, access to transport and utilities, we gave it a negative one, although it has a access to a small road, but it has no PUV stops and it has limited PUV roads. And for hazards, we gave it a negative one rating. It is susceptible to flooding. However, it does not pose a real risk or threat to anyone in. It is just a minor inconvenience. And
Mhm.
for market area, we give it a rating of zero, although it is surrounded with residents with only a few commercial establishments nearby, so not that really much potential. And for site C, we rank it we rank the access and transportation and utilities a negative one. um, there are no available PUV stops, and it favors more on people with private vehicles so far. So far, since this site C is still a concept, and there's
Mhm.
not that much development yet. And for the hazards, we rate it a negative one. It is still susceptible to flooding and storm surge and pollution. Also, considering Site C is located in a reclamation area, which poses multiple hazards. So yeah, such as namely flooding. Then
Okay.
for market area, we rated a plus one since it's located in a new central business district developed by one of the finest developers in Cebu City. Next is for the final site, we selected site A for the following reasons. The site is located in AS Fortuna Street. It is
Okay,
a
time.
strategic location and due to its close proximity to residential areas and commercial zones.
Sige,
Yeah.
good, good. So looks good. Just go back siguro a few slides.
Which
Okay.
slide, sir?
Like one more back. Okay, so this is Canning again, just reiterating. So everyone needs to have a slide like this, explaining the site selection criteria, and then everything else will kind of follow. For me, this is one of the most important slides, so good job. Your tentative grade is kind of 28 for all of you. So if you want to resubmit, the thing that I will edit siguro for the final is, let's see here. Go next. So Kanisha, you have site A, site B, maybe like include the images of the site too. And then ang strengths really this a slide like this is too wordy. You need to simplify into phrases and not have like whole sentences. Next slide. So Kani, you mentioned the NOAA, etc. So include it said somewhere. It doesn't have to be on this slide, maybe the previous slide na makita na you actually show the maps without. So it helps the client understand what's happening. What do you mean? Like, is it really susceptible to flooding? It's a lot more convincing if you include the map. So that will be for the final. Okay.
Okay,
Sige.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Sabir Tanchu, please present. It's already 12:18. And after Sabir Tanchu, it's Hao Villamore and Tan Mark. Sorry, there's so many Tans in our class. Go ahead. Timer starts when you start talking. Oops,
Good
sorry.
morning, sir. So basically, this is our project objectives and requirements for the five-story office building with ground floor restaurant. So first objective is to design a high-end office building that can cater both small and large BPO companies. Next is to create a modern contemporary Filipino architecture which can be aesthetically enhanced and be a new landmark around the site. And the third objective is to integrate structural resiliency in order to respond the local climates by also adhering to the national building code of the Philippines. Next is the project requirements. First, it must be located in or near the CBD area. Next, it must be adjacent to other office buildings to create exposure. Next is it must be near residential areas for the customers, employees, and managers. And lastly, it must be hazard free.
So for our criteria, we followed the three categories given and also added aesthetics and environmental impacts and factors. And under these categories, we added specific guide questions to make our rating process much more easier by rating each guide question from 0 to 4, with 0 as they strongly disagree and 4 as strongly agree. So for accessibility, we focused on the delivery of construction materials and the exposure to public. And for transportation, we focused on the public utility vehicle routes and the traffic flow in the area. For aesthetics, we assessed the surroundings of the site and its cleanliness. And for environmental impacts, the topography of the site should not need excessive land alteration, and that also the existing trees and buildings in the site. And we also assess if the area is suitable for working. And for the hazards, we have flooding, landslides, and storm surge, and added fire hazards by applying proper setbacks. And for the market area, we assess the population, the dominant age in the area, the residential areas in the surroundings, and the other buildings in the surroundings, and also the competition and exposure of the site. Next slide, please.
So for site analysis, we applied the SWOT analysis method. So for site A, which is the Morphori property, for its strengths, there's hardly any competition as there are no nearby office buildings. It has a good scope as it is located between two barangays and in a city center, and there are no known hazards in the area. For its weaknesses, there are existing developments within the site, and it has less exposure and does not uh, enhance any aesthetics, and the surroundings do not enhance its aesthetics. And for its opportunities, Despite its less exposure, its roadways can be easily accessible since it is a through lot, and there are a lot of nearby residential areas and hotels and commercial and government establishments. And for its threats, the population in one of the barangays, which is Kampotao, is decreasing, and there is a moderate to high traffic during rush hours, and especially the fact that the street size is very hectic, so accessibility is very hectic as well. So for next is site B, which is the property in Mambaling. Its strengths are it has a high exposure since it is adjacent to the main road and close to an existing CBD, which is SMC side, and uh, because it is adjacent to the main road, it can be easily accessed with utilities. And uh, for its weaknesses, it is uh, close to the intersection, which can cause heavier traffic, and there are existing buildings within the area, which is difficult for development, and the aesthetics are not fit for the environment because there are no existing office buildings in the area. And for its opportunities, the high exposure being near to a main road can lead to more customers and less to no competition, as there are no office buildings in close proximity. And there is a for the threats, there is a medium risk of flooding, and the main road is adjacent main road is close to the intersection, which has very high vehicular traffic and rush hours, and the population in the area has been decreasing. And for the last site, which is Site C in uh, Cebu prime location in SRP, the for its strengths, it is a greenfield development, and there are good aesthetics surrounding the area, which can provide good natural lighting, and it faces a sea view, and the population is good for demographics since most of it are working adults. And for its weaknesses, it is not easily accessible as it is far from the main city, and there are no existing commuting routes in the area, and it's far from the common residential zones. For its opportunities, it is located in a new developing CBD and close to an existing CBD, which is SMC side. And for lastly, the threats, there are high risk of hazards such as
Okay,
storm
time.
surges.
Sige. Let me see. So you have your points tally here. For me, like the best way to improve this would be to combine your total tally with the analysis part. So have the image there and then the points at each kanang criteria. Can I see your next slide? Next slide.
This
Ang
one, sir.
one after kana. Okay, so this is your conclusion. Okay, good. So kana siya. Condensed lang siguro the data into like fewer slides. How many slides do you have? 5 ba ni?
5, Roser.
Five, sir.
5. Okay. Maybe very text heavy lang yung mga previous slides. That's why nahulot mong time. Go back sa beginning. Yeah, kanang kuan siya. So this is good. Page 1 is good. Next. Next page. Again, site selection criteria. You have the questions here, pero sa final, let's assign the points. Like how much should each of these, like what makes for 5 points sa market area, etc. Scroll down. Next. You have the SWOT. So ang SWOT medyo nasimang siya, it's not super connected sa points. Next. And then nandari ang points. So we just got the points right away. So I need the breakdown of the points for next week. As is kanishang current niya na version, I would give it 25 for all of you. Okay. If you want to make the edits tonight, pwede ra gyud, but I don't want to put too much pressure. You can make the edits like next week for the final. Okay. Next, how Villamor and Tan. Please share your screen. And then after how Villamor and Tan, it's gone. The last group, Tiniero, Tagima Cruz, and Villa Cruces. Okay, murag mag-lecture lang kita. On a good Tuesday. I'll give my notes na on Canvas and you guys can review. Okay, press timer starts when you start talking.
Magita ra, sir.
Up, magita ra.
I'll start. I'll start na, sir. Yeah.
There.
For our con, we are Group 12 and we are here to discuss our Phase 2 for our final project. So our project objective is to develop our raw land into a five-story low-rise office building with complete with the restaurant and commercial spaces. For project requirements, we have our spatial requirements, which is 5 stories, most suitable site based on site criteria, market growth potential in the area, reasonable proximity, community, key amenities, utilities and services, a good neighborhood and healthy environment, local ecosystem, and land use regulations. So
For
next,
the accessibility criteria of the site, it has to have access to a road right of way, nearby food stalls and shops, and available land transportation or nearby terminals. For the utility criteria, the site has to have access to water and electrical resources, sewage lines, telecom stations, nearby ports for building material transport, and existing vegetation on site. So proximity to hazard criteria are as follows: near general hazards like falling trees, electrical posts, accident prone area, high crime rate, and etc. Others can be proximity to emergency response departments like hospitals, police, and fire stations, and the area's frequency of floods, landslides, and storm surges. For the market criteria, the city's population growth is taken into account, nearby competition of office types, and proximity to residential areas, both high and low income. So for the criteria grading system, it follows the quantitative rating scale with 5 classes, where 2 is the most desirable and cost effective, 1 is the best but is still in the range of acceptable, 0 is not ideal but not really unacceptable, -1 is not ideal and would need significant solutions to solve the issue, and negative and is negative. Two, it actually damages the possibilities and potential of the site. Criterias that specify proximity are noted with an asterisk, with excellent being in a 1 kilometer radius and good within 2 to 3 kilometer radius, and so on and so forth, as in shown in the slide. An end chart for each criteria is presented, and a total point chart for the conclusion. So what you see in the slide is just an example. Next slide, please.
for we have three sites. For site A, it is located in Baybay City, Leyte. It is along a busy highway that has undergone road widening from 6 meters to 10 meters. Baybay is a developing city with an increasing population of 0.46%. Nearby residential areas, both high and low income houses, and is very accessible by local transportation. Natural vegetation is already on the site, and if chosen, will be one of the few five-story buildings in the city. For Site B, it is along Mactan Newtown's main road right of way, providing exposure to the building, readily available utilities by virtue of the site, and is accessible to the workforce. Fire and police stations are just outside Mactan Newtown and face little to no risk of flooding and landslide. For Site C, it is located along the main highway of Cebu, is connected to three major cities, Cebu City, Mandaue City, and Lapu-Lapu City. Though it's not located in a business district, it is easily accessible and convenient for people that use public transportation, and it has little to no chance of calamities such as flooding, landslides, and storm surges. For the site analysis of each site is basic data with the WinRose data of each site taken from metablue.com, and SunPath is taken from gizmo.com.
Okay, so we've established our criteria and our sites A, B, and C. We can now assess our sites using our point system. So if you look at the right-hand side of the screen, usually site B gets more points for each criteria, and which gives site B a total of 19 points out of a maximum of 30, which leads us now to the conclusion in the next slide. Next slide. That according to our criteria, Site B is determined as the best site for a five-story office building. So Site B, it's adjacent to the main road, which allows for much visibility, making this building a landmark for the area. Not to mention, a restaurant on the ground floor will attract and cater to the existing influx of tourists coming in the area, thanks to the existing recreational areas around the site, giving the building a sense of uniqueness among the commercial buildings that will soon rise in the area, introducing itself to a healthy competition of office spaces. So,
Okay, good.
yes.
Within under time, you have 20 seconds. It's very nice. I like the idea of doing this chart. This is very useful. My only suggestion is a beginning, you show na lang yun the result and not like, I guess the sample is also good. Yeah, I think this is the first kanang I won't change anything. I think this is the first 30 I will give for the day. If you go back to your first page,
Yeah, wala na
kana.
show on first page, sir.
No, kani, this one.
Okay.
So kani, I think it would be better if kaning site criteria here, you reduce ang font size, kaning site criteria, and you really kanang make this sample analysis bigger para it's kanang super obvious na. So it's cumulative ang point system, kanang add lang mo, and then if it's poor, minus, di ba?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is very good. I think this, like, even none of the fifth years have done something like this. So I think this is a very good analysis. No changes needed, and you're under time, so no problem. Good. Nga no to wala na show ang first slide kaya you're trying to get within the time limit na.
Dili, sir.
Wala na.
Wala lang
po
kinalimtan.
sir.
Okay.
Sorry, sir.
Sige, no problem.
Show on first slide, no?
So what's on the first slide? Let's see. Okay, so the objectives.
Objective, sir.
Sige, but your tentative grade for your group is 30. Maybe I'll find something wrong with it later tonight.
Okay, sir.
Okay, last group. Sorry, na late. Atinero, Tagima Cruz, and Villa Cruces, please present. Timer starts when you're on. When you start talking. Maybe it's a final. I'll make it like 7 minutes instead of 5. Okay, there's a lot of stuff to cover, and then the final you'll also include na kanang proposed zoning map for your kuan lot. Like not really like a floor plan, pero kanang murag bubble diagram lang. Stop. That. Reset. Okay. Tell me when you're ready.
Okay, sir. Good morning, everyone. So this is our site selection process. So the main project objectives. So the main objective of this project is to develop a 5-story office building with a ground floor restaurant. So with that, these are the site selection objectives: to identify parameters that makes the building suitable for selected sites, and to rate the 3 sites and select the site most suitable for the 5-story building. So here is our site selection criteria and how we and this is also the criteria scoring system. So for the physical factors, we have accessibility, transport and utilities, hazards, and local climate. And for the socio-economic, this is the market area. So for the we implemented a quantitative scoring system. So for all the factors, 0 is the least favorable and 4 is the most favorable. And here is the site analysis. So to summarize this slide, all sites have access to transportation and utilities, though sites 2 and 3 have better access with how with their with the nature of their lot being an interior lot or a through lot. I mean, so for hazards, site 1 has little to medium risk for hazards, while sites 2 and 3 has little to none. For local climate, site 1 can mostly benefit from the sun and wind. Site 2 has 2 adjacent buildings that could block sunlight into the site, and the orientation of its site is perpendicular to the prevalent wind direction. So wind might be
good access to wind.
Yes, sir. For the third site, the 3 sides of the site are open, while an adjacent building at its southeast could block the sun. And lastly, for market area, all the sites are located in barangays with decreasing population growths. So though the third site, its population growth is significantly decreasing, um, it is the site with the nearest access to dense residential areas, with having the Luz residential area being 650 meters away only, and there are also there are also condo complexes near the site. So next is the scoring of the sites. So with the more specific scoring from the previous slide, this is how we scored the 3 sites. So using the scoring system, we have concluded that the site 3 is the best and is most suitable for the project. And this is the selected site. So with that, it has access front at its front and rear. Um, there is a it is near to the jeepney and taxi terminal in Ayala. So transportation is abundant, and with having roads at its front and rear, telco and power lines are at its front and rear also. So again, the hazard, it has little to none risk for flooding, landslide, and storm surge. The local climate, it is open on three sides, so satellite can enter the three sides, and the site is also in line with the axis of the prevalent winds. And then for again the market area, Luz has a decreasing population, but it's the residential area is 650 meters away. So that's also.
Okay, very good. So ang kuwang lang siguro sa final presentation, more energy. You're within the 5 minutes, pero I think gutom na. So I think we'll just stop here. I'll stop the recording. I'll